Spain doesn't sit still long enough to be summed up in one sentence. It's a country of cathedrals built by Moors, coastlines burned gold by the sun, and cities where dinner starts when most of Europe is already asleep. Geographically, it's the second most mountainous country on the continent, beaten only by Switzerland. At its core lies the Meseta, a high plateau that holds most of Spain suspended above 600 meters, or nearly 2,000 feet. Even the capital sits up there. Madrid is the highest capital city in Europe. But drop down from that plateau, and the whole character of the country changes. Spain's coastline runs past 7,800 kilometers, or almost 4,850 miles, brushing the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, the Cantabrian Sea, and two island chains far out near Africa. And then there's the culture stitched underneath all of it. Within Spain's borders live 4 official languages: Castilian Spanish, Catalan, Galician, and Basque. A person from rainy Galicia and a person from sun-bleached Andalusia can carry the same passport and barely recognize each other's version of the country. The one place all of that comes together is the bar. Spain has more bars per person than anywhere else in Europe, and they're not just for drinking. They're where the day gets broken into pieces. Over coffee, over a plate of tapas, over conversation that doesn't seem to be in a hurry to end. There's also a stranger side to Spain, one that seems to contradict everything else about it. In the south, near Almeria, sits Tabernas, the driest desert on the continent. Its dusty hills and empty streets look so much like the American Old West that dozens of Western films were shot there. An unmistakable piece of America sitting in the middle of Europe. This is a country that can't really be explained. It has to be walked through, one city at a time. So let's start where the Mediterranean meets the mountains, in Catalonia. Barcelona lives 2 lives at once. There's the old city, the Gothic quarter, all narrow stone alleys that feel unchanged for centuries. And then there's the Barcelona that architect Antoni Gaudí reimagined. A city of curved balconies, rippling rooftops, and buildings that look like they were grown rather than built. The Sagrada Familia is the clearest proof of that vision. Construction began in 1882, and remarkably, it's still not finished. Gaudí designed it to look like a stone forest, with towers rising like tree trunks and light pouring through stained glass in colors that shift throughout the day. Down at street level, La Rambla carries a constant stream of people past flower stalls and street performers, leading toward La Boqueria market, where fish, fruit, and spices are piled high, and the air smells like all 3 at once. And of course, there's the food. small plates of tapas, a glass of cava, and conversation that stretches long past when the plates are empty. It's as much a part of Barcelona's identity as any building. A short train ride from Barcelona, the Oña River cuts through Girona, and the houses along its banks lean over the water in shades of ochre, red, and pale yellow, doubling themselves in the reflection below. This is a medieval city that never got modernized away. It holds one of the best preserved Jewish quarters in Europe, known as El Call, a tangle of uphill stone alleys where the centuries seem to have stopped moving. You can walk the top of the old city walls and look down over rooftops and bell towers all the way to the cathedral. One of the bridges spanning the Oña even carries the signature of Gustave Eiffel, built years before his more famous tower went up in Paris. Right in the geographic center of the country, on top of that high plateau, sits Madrid, the highest capital in Europe, at roughly 655 meters, or about 2,150 feet above sea level. It's a city that runs on contradictions, quiet mornings in Retiro Park, where locals row small boats across the lake, and nights that stretch on far longer than logic should allow. In Plaza Mayor, cafes spill out under stone arcades, and people watch the crowd go by the way others might watch a show. But the real reason art lovers make the trip is the Prado Museum, home to one of the greatest painting collections on Earth, with entire rooms devoted to Velázquez and Goya. Madrid doesn't perform for tourists the way some capitals do. It just keeps living at its own rhythm, day and night, and lets you keep up if you can. Less than an hour outside Madrid, perched on a hill and wrapped on three sides by the Tagus River, sits Toledo, a city that spent centuries being shared. For generations, Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived here side by side, and the city still carries the fingerprints of all three. Old workshops line the narrow streets, a legacy from the era when Toledo's swords were famous across the world. Above the rooftops, two landmarks compete for attention: the Alcazar, a fortress with four heavy towers, and the Gothic cathedral, its bell tower reaching into the sky. The painter El Greco lived and worked here, and loved the city enough to paint it under a stormy theatrical sky. A short drive from Toledo, on the dry gold plateau of Castile, stands something that shouldn't still be standing: a Roman aqueduct. Nearly 2,000 years old, stretching through the middle of the city arch after arch. It rises almost 30 meters, or about 98 feet, built from massive granite blocks fitted together without any mortar at all, held up purely by the precision of the stonework. The old town spreads out from there, narrow lanes converging on a cathedral, And at the town's edge sits another alcázar with pointed turrets that, according to local legend, helped inspire Disney's fairy tale castle. On the banks of the Guadalquivir River sits a city that was once one of the largest and most advanced in the world. 1,000 years ago, Córdoba was the capital of a caliphate, glowing with libraries and gardens, while much of Europe sat in relative darkness. What remains from that era is the Mezquita, and walking inside it feels like entering a forest built from stone. Hundreds of double arches striped in red and white stretch in every direction. Then, right at its center, a full Catholic cathedral rises up inside the mosque itself. Two faiths built into one structure permanently. Outside, the whitewashed alleys of the old Jewish quarter overflow with potted geraniums, and the air carries the scent of orange blossom nearly year-round. At the foot of the snow-capped Sierra Nevada sits Granada, the final stronghold of Moorish Spain. In 1492, the last Muslim kingdom on the peninsula fell here, and legend says its king turned back for one final look before he wept. Above the city, the Alhambra still stands watch, a palace fortress of carved chambers, reflecting pools, and courtyards designed so precisely that water seems to be part of the architecture itself. In the neighboring General Life Gardens, fountains still run exactly as they did centuries ago. Down in the Albaicin quarter, the old Moorish neighborhood, whitewashed streets, climb steeply uphill, and at sunset, the terraces there offer the best view in the city, the Alhambra turning gold as the light drops. South of Granada, the town of Ronda is split clean in two by a gorge nearly 100 meters, or about 330 feet, deep. A single stone bridge, the Puente Nuevo, connects both halves of the town across the void. Modern bullfighting traces its roots to Ronda, and its bull ring is among the oldest in the country. Ernest Hemingway fell in love with the town, its wine, and its people, and returned again and again. At sunset, the whitewashed houses along the cliff edge turn a soft shade of pink. Seville moves to a different rhythm entirely. One set by guitar strings and the sharp strike of flamenco heels. Here, flamenco isn't staged for visitors so much as it's simply how the city expresses itself. The Giralda Tower, once a minaret, now doubles as the cathedral's bell tower, and instead of stairs, you climb it by a series of gentle ramps. That cathedral, one of the largest in the world, is also said to hold the tomb of Christopher Columbus. Nearby, Plaza de España might be one of the most photographed squares on Earth. A curved building wrapped around a canal, with tiled alcoves representing every province in Spain. Rowboats drift beneath its arches while the Guadalquivir River runs wide and unhurried through the rest of the city. Surrounded by ocean on nearly every side, Cadiz claims the title of one of the oldest cities in Europe. With more than 3,000 years of layered history from Phoenicians, Romans, and everyone who came after. The whole city seems to be built for the sea. Whitewashed houses with flowered balconies, open squares that smell of salt, and a cathedral whose dome catches the sun from every angle. On La Caleta beach, wedged between two old fortresses, the sun sets directly into the Atlantic. Facing the sea and warmed by sun for most of the year, Malaga is the bright, easygoing gateway to the Costa del Sol. Pablo Picasso was born here, and the city honors him with a museum built around his early work. Above the harbor, the old Moorish fortress of the Alcazaba climbs the hillside through gardens and fountains, and higher still, the ruins of Gibralfaro Castle look out over the city, the port, and the mountains beyond. Down at street level, palm-lined avenues run straight to the waterfront, where the boundary between the old town and the beach barely exists anymore. Where citrus groves meet wide sandy beaches sits Valencia, Spain's third largest city, and the true birthplace of paella, the original version made with rice, rabbit, chicken, and beans, not the seafood-heavy version most of the world associates with the name. The river that once ran through the city center was rerouted after a devastating flood, and the old riverbed was turned into a long green park that now runs the length of the city. Cyclists and joggers move where boats once did. At one end of that park sits the City of Arts and Sciences, a cluster of white futuristic buildings that look like they landed from somewhere else entirely. In the old town, the central market operates inside an ornate iron and glass hall that feels more like a cathedral than a grocery store. Out in the Mediterranean sit 4 islands that share a sea, but little else. Mallorca is the largest, with mountains that drop straight into turquoise water and stone villages tucked among olive groves. Menorca is quieter, ringed with hidden coves so clear that boats appear to float on air. Ibiza sleeps through the day and comes alive at night, though it also holds a quiet, whitewashed old town above its harbor. And Formentera, the smallest of the 4, has white sand and water so clean it looks almost artificial. Protected in part by ancient seagrass meadows growing just offshore. Far out in the Atlantic, closer to Africa than to mainland Spain, sit 7 volcanic islands where the land is black and the climate never really changes. On Tenerife rises Mount Teide, Spain's highest peak at roughly 3,715 meters, or about 12,190 feet. It's still an active volcano, and snow often caps its summit, even while people sunbathe on beaches far below. On Lanzarote, dried lava has shaped an almost lunar landscape, where vines grow in small pits dug into volcanic ash, each one sheltered by a low stone wall. Up in the green, rain-soaked north sits Basque Country, home to a language so old that its origins remain a genuine mystery to linguists. San Sebastian curls around a shell-shaped bay, with La Concha Beach ranked among the most beautiful in Europe. In its old town, bar counters overflow with pinxos, small bites served on toothpicks, meant to be eaten standing up while hopping from one bar to the next. The city also holds an outsized number of Michelin-starred restaurants for its size. Further along the coast, Bilbao spent decades as a grey industrial port city before reinventing itself entirely. The arrival of the Guggenheim Museum, a structure of curved, gleaming titanium, changed everything, drawing visitors from around the world and breathing new life into the whole city. For pilgrims who've walked over 1,000 kilometers, or more than 620 miles, the first sight of Santiago de Compostela's cathedral marks the end of a journey centuries in the making. Tradition holds that the Apostle James is buried here. Exhausted walkers often collapse in the square in front of the cathedral, staring up at its dark stone spires. Inside, on feast days, an enormous silver incense burner swings from the ceiling in a slow, dramatic arc. In the rain-slick streets outside, restaurants serve Galician-style octopus alongside crisp local white wine. From the mountain plateau at its center to the volcanic islands scattered off Africa, Spain never really settles into one identity. It's a country of stone forests and Roman aqueducts, of flamenco heels and pilgrim footsteps, of cities that were once capitals of empires and villages that time seems to have simply passed over. And that's only a fraction of what it holds. Beyond every place in this video, there are dozens more coastlines, mountain villages, and quiet corners still waiting to be found. But that's a story for another time. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more of Spain, let us know in the comments where we should head next.